Amen. Well, Miss Buell and her daughters are children's church this morning. If you'd like to go back there with them, I'm sure they'd be happy. Before you put the PowerPoint up there, Andy, I know you're getting in gear. You're always on the ball. Let me take a minute just to say about this splash screen right here. When I had the opportunity many years ago to be the youth director at the Shoal Creek Baptist Church, and while I was there, Brother Jack Freeman, who served there 25, 26 years as their pastor, came on as the interim pastor, and he taught me, or I learned from him, that God allowed him to meet some important people in his ministry, life ministry, and he brought those people that he met to the church to preach and to sing and to share. And so, because of Brother Freeman, I've had the opportunity, I don't know if these names mean anything to you, but I got to hear Dr. R.G. Lee preach several times. He was the former great pastor of the Bellevue Baptist Church there in Memphis, Tennessee. And I heard him preach Payday Someday. It's a very famous sermon that so many people were saved, him preaching, Dr. R.G. Lee. And then Dr. B. Gray Allison, who I later came to know as the president and founder of the seminary that I graduated from. Dr. Allison went home to be with the Lord this week. And what a wonderful man with a great soul winner. He was in his 90s, but I heard him preach long before I ever went to the seminary because he came out here and preached at Shoal Creek. And so one of the things, I don't want to ever be perceived as the only avenue or the only person that you receive spiritual nourishment from. As a matter of fact, I always tell people if you're Sunday school teacher, or even if your pastor is the only place where you get spiritual nourishment and spiritual food and the Word of God, you'll starve to death spiritually. You've got to learn how to feed yourself, and that should be your primary source of nourishment. But then meet people. Listen to somebody on the radio. Watch someone on a DVD. Watch someone on television. Check with me about that. There's several. Don't not just anybody. Check with me about that. I have some recommendations. Maybe I'm biased. I know I am. But someone I want you to meet is Dr. John McBride. I've known him for many years, and he has been the director of missions at the Paul Carlson Baptist Association in Georgia for about nearly 20 years. And he has worked with a lot of churches, lots of different kinds of churches. He knows about the way churches work. He's planted churches, and they've started churches in his area. And they've also had churches that have closed their doors and sold their property. He's seen it all. And so he's going to be with us here on March the 2nd and 3rd. Now, I know coming on a Saturday morning is asking a lot, and especially if it's a pretty day or even if it's a bad weather day, it's asking a lot. But I hope that you all will come to that. I want you to meet him, and it's hearing someone else, someone coming from outside and telling us not just about our church. I'm not telling him a bunch of stuff about our church so he'll know stuff or know stuff about you, but about what's going on in the church in our world today. And, sometimes, the reason Paul said this, be not weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. We get tired sometimes of even doing the right things and doing good, doing things that are what Paul would call well-doing. So we need renewal. We need to refresh. And you need to know how to stir yourself up. You need to know how to get back to your game. You need to know how to rejuvenate yourself. Remember what the psalmist said? He says, He restoreth my soul, my cup runneth over. So we need some of that. And so I've asked this man, this special servant of God, to come in. And he is spending the time from the time that I asked him to come. I asked our deacons if I could ask him to come. From that time, he's been preparing just for us. Would you please come to that? I hope that you will. And then he'll be with us during the Sunday school hour of that Sunday morning and then preach to us at the 11 o'clock hour. But please come on Saturday, and because it's going to be very down-to-earth, face-to-face, and very personal. All right, crank that PowerPoint up there, Andy. Andy does a great job. I appreciate him. Carter does a good job when he's here. I hope that you always pray for Carter. We see Bailey here. Pray for her too. Evidently, she's a better driver than her brother. Is that true? You had to run your car in a ditch as far as I know, so you had some car troubles. But pray for Bailey too. But People say, well, y'all got a good youth program? I say, yeah, we do. We've got one youth. She's there every Sunday. She's there every Sunday. So we've had times when we've had a room full of them, and we've had times when there's only been one. So they're all good. They're all good. Pray for Carter. Don't let it, sometimes you're out of sight, out of mind. Don't do that. Pray for him, okay? He's in school. He's at Auburn. Well, you ever feel like that? You ever felt like you was in over your head? You ever felt like you was in, went off the deep end? Some of you, I've had it up to here. I saw a picture of Dora the fish on Instagram the other day, and there was a little bitty squiggly. It looked like maybe a shrimp or a little tiny seahorse, but it really wasn't about Dora or the Disney movie at all. This fish was saying, there's my mama's last nerve. I'm going to see if I can get on it. There's my mama's last nerve. Have you ever just felt like it's I don't have it up to here, or I haven't had it up to here, I'm just drowning. Have you ever had a situation where you say, Lord, I don't think I'm going to make it? Look at this pile of work. Terry sends me pictures. She's just trying to make me feel bad, but she sent me pictures of her stacks of work. And I'm at home eating Cheetos. I don't have a job. So I just delete it, pretend she didn't send it to me, and I don't feel bad. Every Friday night, we love to hear Liz tell about the people who've come down to the bank. It's like a circus down at the bank. If you ever just get bored, I tell you what, go down to Libby's and sit down front. Y'all have some interesting people show up at Libby's, don't you? Crazy people. That's after they leave the bank. Yeah, and they leave the bank and they go, let's go eat at Libby's. Woo! And then they're crazy. They're crazy. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to hear any more. It's far. But this minute, you can just feel like, oh man, I'm drowning. You ever had the bills in front of you? I don't want to pay the bills. You just feel like, I'm just drowning. I can't get out. I'm just swamped. I'm just over. Somebody say, hey, can you help me with this? Can I help you with that? I saw a sign. It was a sign at HTPG that I used to see all the time. It was back in the shipping. It says, yeah, I'll just quit whatever I'm doing and I help you with your problem. Why don't I do that? Why don't I just quit why don't I just drop whatever I'm doing and help you with your problem? That'd be great, wouldn't it? It's like they're saying, well, I see you're under the water there. Let me help you just a little bit. Push you a little bit deeper. Or you're in the quicksand. What do they throw you? A brick or an anvil. Here, hold this. Yeah, we've all done it. I always talk to the young people over here. Oh, you old people. If you've never been on the bottom like that, you will be. You know what I found out before I could swim when I was swimming at the swimming pool? Someone taught me a secret. I don't even know what. I can't swim. If I jump off, there's nothing underneath me, and I can't swim. And I said, well, it's only 10, 15 feet deep. When you jump in, go all the way to the bottom. Just kind of put your body like that. So, and then when you touch bottom, guess what? You just shoot right. You just use the bottom, and I can just aim myself toward the ladder. So sometimes, friends, it's when you get to the bottom is when you can swim. You can make some changes. All right, let's go on. I'm talking about getting out of Dodge. Now I'm bragging about Andy, and then all of a sudden he just went completely to sleep. I'm sorry. No, that's not true. No, did you catch that on the pastor's most valuable player? One of these things you might know you're a preacher if sometimes you want to give the sound guy a little feedback of your own. Well, I don't think you ever had any feedback. I think he was talking about when kind of just kind of making a rude noise through the microphone. Getting out of Dodge, Part 5. My daddy would say, well, son, I told him I've been preaching in the Gospel of John for about 3 months. He said, well, son, ain't people getting tired of John? It's John. I said, it's not about John at all. It's from the Gospel of John. It's about Jesus. And it's about something different every single Sunday from the book of John. So we might be in Exodus for a while, but it's not say Exodus, or Dodge, part 5, part 6. It's all different. It's all completely different and it's in the Bible. It's all the Bible. Studies in the book of Exodus. Let's go on. Here in Exodus chapter 2, we're going on with the story of Moses. When Moses was grown, we done got him out of the bulrushes. He's grown up in Pharaoh's household. One of his daughters took him in. He's a Hebrew. When he was grown, he went out to see his kinsman. He knew he was adopted. He knew that he was an Egyptian. He was maybe a different color. And everybody knew that he was Hebrew. He looked like a Hebrew. Oh, looked like an Egyptian too. But he went out to see his kinsman, and he saw their burdens. Remember, they're enslaved at this time. And he saw an Egyptian beating one of them. He saw beating a Hebrew, beating him up. And Moses looked this way and that. When he thought that no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. There's something, listen very carefully, there's something in Moses already. Something he was born with. Something that God imparted to him. Even, do you think that God started working in you the day that you walked down the aisle and joined the church? God began working. The Apostle Paul says, God began working in us before the foundation of the world. He already knew our names. That don't make sense to us. Can't line it up with anything that we know anything about. There was already something in Moses that when he looked out at the plight of the Hebrew slaves, something in his heart said, this ain't right. This is not right. This is not fair. This is not good. Something bothered him. But also there was something else in Moses. There was a voice in Moses that said, fix it. Fix it. Do something about it. Now, this message is a little bit about, or maybe a great deal about, learning to wait on the Lord. The King James Version implies that this abuser might have been a member of the Egyptian army, of Pharaoh's army. I do believe that you and I should be actively obedient. There's a mission. There's a daily walk. There's a commitment and obedience. There are chores to do. There's a life to live and a person to be. There's a person to become, and his name is Jesus. But we're not to sit down and sit on our hands and just sit there and say, okay, I'm a Christian now. I'm just going to let God do everything that needs to be done. And that's not what the Bible teaches, nor is that what I'm preaching about. But if you're the kind of person, and I know that I am, that voice says to me, well, don't just stand there. Do something, even if it's wrong. Do something, even if it doesn't work. Just do something. You can't just stand around twiddling your thumbs and not do anything. And listen, as I've said those very words, there's something in you, something inside you say, yeah. No. You can't look at this and say, killing that Egyptian was the thing to do. You can't look at this and say, killing that Egyptian was a part of God's plan, or that made God happy. That murdering that Egyptian. There are people who kill millions of people every year in our world today, and they have figured out a way to say, oh, that's okay. That's not really a person. They weren't really alive, or they're not really important, or that had to happen so that other good things could happen. There have been people through human history who said, well, if we just let these people die or kill all these people, then that'll solve a lot of our problems. I believe that's why one of the Ten Commandments was God looking at us and saying, don't kill each other. Don't kill each other. You got to have a commandment. You got to have a commandment. You have to go to Cain and Abel and say, hey, Cain, all right, there's your brother. Don't kill him. You got to be part of the instructions on how to be a good human being. Don't kill your brother with a stick or a rock. You got to find that level, that balance. Like I said, there's the daily life. But then the will of God for your life and mine, He wants us to be there and available. He wants us to be His instrument, His lightning rod. But sometimes when you and I think that there's not enough going on, or that there's not enough happening, or that things could be kick-started or jump-started, we could set a fire. 9 times out of 10, we're doing just exactly what Moses did here. Let me say this on a different level too. This is very personal. If you can look at anybody in your life, anybody in your life, and say, if that person wasn't in my life, then everything would be better. If that person was out of the way, now let me tell you what, your pastor has prayed that prayer a lot. I'm ashamed to say, I'm not bragging about that. I've pastored at churches. Of course, this is not one of them. One of those that I'm talking about. I said, Lord, I wish that if that member wasn't in our church, everything would be smooth sailing. They vote against everything. They're never happy. They're always criticizing and complaining. Here's someone that's always bad-mouthing everything that goes on. Lord, why in the world don't you just put them somewhere where they can be happy? I didn't realize it at the time. They were as happy as pigs in the mud. That's what made them happy. And they loved it. They loved it. I will never forget this. I'm going to tell you this. You don't believe it. But I pastor a church. I've done this a lot. I don't do this real often. I know that probably there's at least 1 or 2 of you today said, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All I wanted was a bulletin. I didn't want to kill 2 trees. If there was a person at one of our churches that when she come in and she saw that, here's what she'd do. Right there in the vestibule. I didn't do that every Sunday. Sometimes, most often it's just the bulletin. But she didn't want all that stuff. And she'd just shake her bulletin out and it'd all fall on the floor. You know what she wanted, don't you? She wanted me to slap her. She was begging me, just slap me. Just knock me down. That's what I want. And I was saying, I prayed about, Lord, it would make her happy. It's what she wants. It's what she needs. And I would feel so good if I could just slap her till she spun around 3 times. If I could just do that. Well, that is funny, and I like to laugh at it, but it ain't funny. I think she was just trying to be mean, and I really did think she wanted me to do or say something. And I just smiled at her and picked up the stuff off the ground. Linda, get that later. Let's go on. Listen, I'm going to complete my thought there after we get to the next slide. If you can look at your husband and say, you sorry thing, if you wasn't around, my life would be like roses. Or if you can look at your wife and say, you know, I'd be a whole lot happier if you was gone. If you wasn't here, if you was somebody else. Or you have a boss at work and say, you know, if I had a better boss, I'd enjoy my work more. Or if I knew a different person, or if I was a member of a different family, let me tell you what. If there's anybody in the world, like Moses said, this world needs to get on without that particular first person beating up that Hebrew. And he went over and he fixed it. And he buried him in the sand. If you think as a Christian that your world or your life would be a better world than life, if somebody wasn't in it or somebody wasn't in your way, you are wrong. I guarantee you. If you don't believe it, just spend some time with me. Let me show you in the Bible where that's not scriptural, where that's not Christ-like. Listen, if you're not what you're supposed to be, if you're not what God wants you to be, it's not anybody's fault. You already know my pet peeve. People always say their number one out is, the devil made me do it. The devil didn't make you do it. The devil didn't make you not do it. You did it, or you didn't do it. You can't blame the devil. The very first sinner, Eve, said, oh, no, it's the devil. The devil made me do it. God said, oh, they ain't going to ride. They ain't going to float. No, he didn't take it then. He's not going to accept it now. I like that. I like that. He's got his backpack. I don't know what's on in there. Probably a coloring book and Capri Sun or something. I found another one. Show that next one there, Andy. I like that one. Well, she ain't got her skinny jeans on, but buddy, she's going on. She's getting through the water. She's just an ordinary, average person in her walking jeans, and she's going. I like that. I found that too. Just found that. I'll put that in my message. When you're drowning, God can help. Let me tell you something. Let me show you what's happened here. Both of those pictures, the man and the woman. God didn't get them out, did he? God didn't get them out, did he? What did he do?
Helped them through.
He got them through. He got them through. I hear a lot of people pray, Lord, get us out. Lord, stop it. Lord, make it go away. Lord, make me whole and heal me. Make me brand new. God, get me out. God probably, he can do all that. He can get you out. God can get you out. When I played football for Coach Smallwood in junior, he always told us, he says, if you ever get hurt, get an injury out there on the football field, just kind of tap your head on you. Just tap your helmet. He said, I will get you out. We'll take care of you. That was a lie. That was a lie. A lot of times I got off the bottom of a pile and I couldn't hardly even feel my leg. And I was going, hey! Hey! He never saw me not one time. I played on both sides of the ball. Hey! And sometimes I think we're praying, God, get me out! God said, no, I'm going to get you through. I'm going to get you through. You know, Max Lucado has written a book about Joseph called, it's entitled, if you've never read any of Max's book, that'd be a good one to read about Joseph. He says, God will get you through this. God will get you through this. All right? God will. You can't get yourself out by killing the Egyptian. Moses can't get you out. God will get you out. Let's go on. This is on a picture like this I could find. That's silly. That Egyptian, he's doing a selfie there, and he's having way too much fun. But I just looked and looked and looked. I was looking for, this is what I was looking for. Click a button again there, Andy. There's Pharaoh's army. See, I needed that. And then click it again. There's the Red Sea. Now where am I? Let's click that again. Well, that's me right there. That's what happened. That's when Moses actually got on the plan of God and started leading them. This is where he led them to. Pharaoh's army behind them, the Red Sea in front of them, and there they were. Didn't look like a very good leader to me. Between a rock and a hard place. Leaders will lead you there sometimes. Some of our people who have been in the military, sometimes a commanding officer will give you an order that you don't want to take. They'll tell you to do something you don't want to do. They'll tell you to go somewhere that you don't want to go. And it might not even be the right call. It might not even be the right decision. And you might, as a matter of fact, know more than your CO does. But you got to obey that order. We got to follow God. We got to follow God, even if it leads between a rock and a hard place. There's a secret right here. At the end of this story, this is just my imaginary conversation between Moses and God. God said, hey Moses, how many members of Pharaoh's army did you ever kill? Moses was kind of embarrassed, kind of ashamed. He said, one. He said, God said, I killed them all. I killed them all. That'll make you shiver just a little bit. Say, oh man. I drowned them. Killed them all. God's real serious. God's real serious about the things that need to happen and that must happen. And when the justice rolls down and the judgment falls out, you don't want to be on that side. I'd rather fight with Moses, take my chances. But my arms are too short to box with God. Okay, let's go on here. This is that story. The Egyptian army charged. The people of Israel saw them speeding after them, and they were horrified. They cried out to the Lord to help them. They cried out to the Lord to help them. Lord, help us. And then it says, then they turned against Moses, whining. Have you brought us out here to die in the desert because there are not enough graves for us in Egypt? Why did you make us leave? Make us leave? Woo, we're leaving. You made us leave. Didn't we tell you while we were slaves, leave us alone? We said it would be better to be slaves to the Egyptians than dead in the wilderness. Let me tell you something. If you've never seen this, and this is not a new story, you're familiar with this. Pharaoh's army behind them, the Red Sea in front of them, in the wilderness, in the desert. Moses led them right there. They're just exactly where they're supposed to be. Exactly. Now let's go on. Let's finish. Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand where you are and watch. You'll see the wonderful way the Lord will rescue you today. The Egyptians you're looking at, you will never see them again. The Lord will fight for you, and all you have to do is be still. God has taught me to never look to any of you for what I need, and for what I want, and for what I hope, as a person or as a pastor. It never enters my mind that everything will come unraveled or fall apart if a member of the Walnut Grove Baptist Church doesn't fulfill their commitment or do their duty. Never cross. What if somebody's not there? What if they don't pitch in? What if they don't give? What if they don't do their job? It don't matter. Because that's not who I pray to. I appreciate you. And I hope you appreciate anything that I might do for you or in God's name. But listen, you don't look to me either, but pray to God. He'll fight for you. And all you have to do is be still. I think Moses probably said, Lord, let me go down there and kill 2 or 3 of them. That'll help some. Moses said, no, Moses didn't think that. He learned his lesson. He says, don't be afraid. If you'll just, now he didn't include this part. He did later on in life. If you'll just shut up and be quiet and be still. You see, in my life, let me tell you what, in my life, I don't want to see any more of what I can do. In my life, I want to see what only God can do. Let's go on. There's old Charles Heston. I just wanted to show you a few of these. I found them along the way. Now I want you to think of what is it that's drowning you? What is it that's keeping you from getting on down the road or getting across? Let's go on to the next one, Andy. I like these pictures because that's pretty scary looking. And I imagine it probably looked a whole lot more scary than that. Let's look at another. Think about the problems you're facing and the difficulties in your life that you have faced or are going to face. That's what God can do to them. That's the power that God has. This is easy for Him. Let's do it. Look at another one. I think that's kind of the way it looked when it was done. I think this is the way it closed back together. Moses walked away and said, all right, let's go on to what's next. Let's look on, go on. So, if you're not going through that now, or facing that, if you're over your head, if the water's over your head, God can make a way for you and me, for our church, for the church. Actually, I didn't find this picture. I had to make it. Let's look at the last one there, Andy. I made that one. That's something Brother Andy said to us Wednesday night from Hebrews chapter 12. He said, and that's the part I think that's been missing in some of these graphic artist representations. The writer of Hebrews said, looking unto Jesus. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set down before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is now set down at the right hand of God. Looking unto Jesus. You know what? You've been looking to your husband. That'll never work. You've been looking to your wife. You've been looking to your pastor. You've been looking to the deacons. You've been looking to your church. You know what's even worse? You've been looking to yourself. I can do this. I got this. Looking unto Jesus. Looking unto Jesus. What are you facing? What's covering you? What are you drowning in? Is it medication? Is it old age? Is it your rent? Is it the mortgage? Is it your job? Is it your family? Is it your health? Is it the weather? Is it your aches and pains and hurts? Is it your diseases and pains that can cover you up? God can see you through. Pray with me. Father, thank you for your goodness to us, your grace. Thank you for all that you are. Lord, a lot of my life's been spent saying, I'm just going to do something. I don't know if it's right or not. Well, at least something's getting done. At least we're doing something. We're not just sitting here not doing anything. So many times I've seen what I can do and what I can make and what can happen. Teach me to depend entirely and completely upon you. And that you'll tell me what to do when it's time to do something. Otherwise, I'm going to stand and be still and watch you. If there's someone here today and they're drowning, they're covered up, and they don't know how to get through, teach them they can get through even this. I pray it, Lord, in your name. Amen. Brother Danny, what's our hymn of invitation today?
333.
Let's all stand together. It's 333.